Hello everyone, welcome to this week's NAOL review. I'm Albert, and again I'm going to review 3 SDK games this week from this season's NAOL. So first up we have Bob playing black. I think these are maybe high SDK to maybe double-digit Q games. We're gonna get started. So first, Joseki, pretty normal so far. White plays a pincer extension in the bottom. That's fine. Other options include a pincer closer to the cell on the bottom right, just because this serves two functions: one to extend in the side, and also it's a pincer. So I think an A or B placement will be slightly more common. Okay, so now black decides to run out. I think in this case, because black has the ability to have a two-space extension, maybe black should just play here. Black can make a base here pretty easily. So if white plays something like here, then black can consider moves like this. And actually nowadays, the Kosumi is a nice move. This is an AI-inspired move. If white jumps trying to attack, black can basically make a Sente exchange or along here, and then black has the option of making a base in the corner. So the Kosumi is nice. But sometimes this is also possible, but the Kosumi will be more peaceful, because here black really has to utilize this cut. Otherwise, it's hard for black to settle. If black just turns and escape this way, then it's really giving white too much on the right side. So if black plays this way, black has to be sure that he or she reads out what happens after this cut. Or maybe white can bump here. Okay. Right, so in the game white plays here, which I think is a great move. This move strengthens the corner, and now if black cuts here, white can just Atari and block on this side. Without the cornerstone, for example, black has really nice Tetsuji here. We should all remember this Kosumi. The descent is not right. Atari is also not right in most cases. Let's see. So this could lead to a trade. But Kosumi locally is hard for white to manage. If white blocks, black can Tiger's Mouth. If white descends, black can push. Usually this life and death will favor white, or black. So that's why in a lot of professional games you see this kick. It's worth remembering. Okay, so turning here I think is slightly painful, because you're giving white territory on the 5th line. And as mentioned, there's still an Aji here for later. So after turning, making this exchange, black is also strengthening white. So again, here there's a little bit of inconsistency. White has a strong shape here, and black's trying to settle this group. So there's no reason for black to start another fight on the right without first settling this group. So a more normal move would just be to take care of one group first. As far as the right side is concerned, there's really not super urgent. Black can just come in here slowly. And even this placement is a little bit close to white's strong corner. Black will be worried about the pincer. Okay, so white pincer in the game. I think that's good. So here black has a pretty uncomfortable shape. This is an empty triangle. We know that's a very painful shape, because black spends 4 moves and got pretty much nothing. And white has a pretty strong shape on the outside. White can just extend and get some territory. And in the bottom right, white is still pretty strong, so there's nothing to worry about. And there is some weakness. I think white missed a chance to play this cut. So black doesn't really have time to cut here, because white can push out. from here. There's a double Atari. So if black extends, white can Atari and then fix the cutting point. Now black is split into two. Without these exchanges, black can actually make this cut now. It's hard for white to answer this move. Now white's the center stones are dead. Cutting here is really big. So in hindsight, I think black has to take care of play a better shape here. Locally, I think black should probably jump. So this will be similar as the game result, but it wouldn't leave such a glaring cut. And black will have the option of playing maybe this move, and then fight like this. The problem stems from the fact that the earlier empty triangle was not a good shape, so the fight would not be good for black here. Okay, so the corner life and death is interesting. I think white played an overplay here. Okay, so there's a life and death situation. White has 5 liberties. In the game, black made a few mistakes, so actually black died instead. But the main problem was this Atari. Had black just played the jump, I think it would be hard for white to save the top. So let's just play through a few scenarios. Let's say white extends here. I think black can play here, but even if black just blocks in the corner, black's already up 1 liberty. This basically, in the game, black's got an extra move here, which is not necessary. And if black jumps, I think the life and death here still favors. This still favors black. So white might be okay with the sacrifice here, but in any case, black got a decent corner. Let's see, are there other options? So if black jumps here, if white plays here, then black has a Sente peep, so it's hard for white to seal. I think white will be in real trouble here. I think in Q games, we're often tempted to play Atari when it's available. But as we get more familiar with shape, people will learn that it's usually best to save Atari unless you create bad shape for your opponent, or it somehow leads to a very direct kill or some sort of attack. So in this case, there's no way to capture this stone. So it's actually better to play slightly away while still putting pressure, which will be something like this jump or sometimes this jump. Okay, so as clearly the game is going well for white. So let's see if black has a chance to make a comeback later. Okay, so black gained some for sure. Black captured the stone and fixed the cut. But it's interesting. I wonder if black could have gotten more. So Atari, capture Atari. Black could actually extend here. Maybe black felt good with just capturing 1 stone, but that gave white an easy out of this difficult situation. Here, A and B are still Miai. Normally, white is thinking about connecting underneath, but in this case, capturing here becomes double Atari. So this result would be a disaster for white. That leaves white with only the option being Atari from here. But black can, even if black captures now, the shape is very different because black gets to capture the stone in the corner. And also black has the option of further extending. So it looks like these 5 stones are dead. There's no way to save it. So black missed a great chance here. Maybe black didn't do enough deep reading. From white's perspective though, after the being cut here, there's really no way to save the 3 stones. So white should probably just Atari and then Tenuki. Yes, black gained a lot and now it's very thick, but it's only 3 stone, which is worth 6 points. This cut is a very strong move. I think white had good reading here, seeing that the ladder doesn't work and there's no net here. If black tries to net, white can easily just escape. And people in the chat and audience, if you have any questions or comments, just feel free to speak up or type in the chat. I will check it from time to time. Yeah, so I think white is still firmly in control of the game just because black's main group is now split into 2 again. And don't forget, the earlier group here, the corner group, is not settled yet because the corner died. So if, in effect, black has 3 weak groups to deal with. And white doesn't really have weak groups. Maybe this group, but it split black into 2, so black is under a lot more pressure. So a couple of shape issues. White tried to mount an attack with this empty triangle. It is a sharp move, but in this right now, it just doesn't quite work yet. So it's better to just save that attack. For example, later, if white didn't make those exchanges, let's say black somehow escapes here. The cut here is more severe. Because if black blocks, white can push again. There's liberty shortage this way. The exchange in the game basically gave black an eye locally. And honestly, at this point, black can just live locally. And the shape mistake from black, again, this is empty triangle. So just connecting is better, or even extending. Black should be careful about the liberty shortage here. For example, something like this wedge. So black has to be prepared to be cut. But since black has a second eye in the bottom, getting cut is not the end of the world right now. So extending here or connecting are both fine. Black should be able to escape like this. And shape-wise, I'll say this move probably gives black a better chance of escaping. This move is basically Sente. So it's not easy for white to... Or actually, black can... just like in the game, black can jump, make this exchange first, and then escape. Black shape is connected. In the game, it gave white a very easy seal. Now we have to see how black finds the second eye. Okay, so white captures the stone. White should connect. There's no reason to leave this throw in Ko, Aji. But still, white made a seal and now black's top right is dead. So the game is really not going for black. Okay, here I think white got a little bit too bloodthirsty. Notice the black group is alive, effectively. And white has a little bit of weakness in the middle. For example, like this cross cut, a push cut. And there's a big move in the bottom if white can somehow save this stone. So the important thing is really to take care of the center and then just to save the bottom stone. Black didn't even capture the A stone fully. And even if black did, that's only worth 2 points. White profit in the center and white profit in the bottom. This will be the ideal result. Starting a fight like this is rather risky, and it's unclear why white will gain, because it's impossible to kill these 2 stones, and it's impossible to kill these stones. And the white stone here wasn't valuable to begin with, so what's the point? Okay, so peeping is a sharp move to take away the eye and the side, but unfortunately white has a liberty shortage. So there's no way to really attack black. Oh, interesting. So black pulled off a Tetsuji here with a throw-in. And locally, white does have a liberty shortage, just white cannot connect. However, this is really not necessary because black can just capture these stones. There's definitely a better sequence. Black can just take liberty from here. So maybe white can get a seal, but capturing 3 stones is still worth a lot. White didn't get much in these exchanges. Here white has the option of pushing. Black cannot block because this will be at Atari. So black has to play here, and then white can at least cut off the 1 black stone. But notice in this exchange, these 4 stones are also dead. So overall, it's not really worth it for white. Okay, so for the sake of time, we'll see if there's anything notable. So the corner died. So black actually made a comeback later in the game. But it looks like white wasn't careful enough, which allowed black to resurrect the dead zones and also kill white's center. If not for this mistake, white should be doing okay. Oh, it seemed like black's desperate attempt here really paid off. The mistake here, I think, mainly comes from this move. So something to remember is never try to cut 2 live groups. This move is worth maybe 2 points, and white is not alive. So white tried to separate black's center from the top left corner, but the center is already alive, and the top left corner is very far from being attackable because white is also very weak. So in effect, this is like passing a move in the middle of a fight, which is what happened, and then the group died. So white at this point just needs to do literally anything else. For example, just monkey jump into the corner. And because black is the top upper group is not alive yet, there are no 2 eyes. There's no way that black can kill white here. So I think the main takeaway from the game, besides a few direction and reading error, is that when we start a fight, there has to be a reason. So here, there's no reason to cut black because both groups are alive. And earlier, here, there's no reason for white to run out this stone because white already profited a lot elsewhere, and there's really nothing to gain from white to start a fight here. If you can, basically, if you can do okay without even having to fight, then don't even bother starting the fight because you can only lose more from that, especially when white is already winning. It's another thing if you want to complicate the game and force your opponent to make mistakes. But if you're already way ahead, like in this game, there's really no reason to risk it. For the sake of time, I will move on to the next game if there is no question for this game about this game at the moment. Great. If you think of anything, Bob, you can just let me know. I can come back to it. Okay, here, Bowen. Bowen is a local player from the Midwest. So let's see. Oh, Chinese opening. That's very fun. Attaching star point against a 3/4 is pretty common nowadays. The idea being you can, why through some exchanges in the corner, white can potentially make this stone inefficient. A simple example is Hane here. So locally, white's ability is a little tight. It could be slightly better for black, but notice black has an extension at A, and it's just a little bit close. If had this stone be closer to like B or C, the synergy would be perfect. But because the stone's a little bit close to the corner, white can afford to take a local loss to make black shape over concentrated. Okay, so white decides to Hane from this side. I think it's a little bit risky because now white's heavy, then white doesn't have a base. White should just Hane from the other side. And this is fine. So this shape is very similar to the other Joseki. This is very similar. Except the 3 stones in the low position. And white made a bad exchange here. So overall, it's still about even, but white is fine just reducing black's potential. Here, on the other hand, white shape is heavy. I would not recommend playing this way for white. I think black can Tenuki now to make the first attack. White doesn't have time to play in the corner because then the entire group was going to die. And that would definitely be too big to sacrifice. But even so, white's shape is not great. Because black has the base profit on the corner, and this shape is pretty good. White doesn't have any territory to speak of here. And black can still develop this side. So but black has everything, but basically start out with a good amount of points and potential, and white just has a weak group out of nowhere. So this group will become a big liability for white. So it seems like white is fairly aggressive. Just play a lot of probing moves and attacking moves, and black more or less responded to everything. So let's unpack this a little bit. White started with a peep. Connecting, it's fine, but if there are other moves besides connecting, I would urge all the players to consider it. Especially when it's under black's sphere of influence. So right now, black is pretty strong all across. So let's say black jumps here. White doesn't really have time to cut because then this resulting fight doesn't really favor white. And notice if the cut is not severe, then white spending a move to cut here, it basically becomes a dominant move. So white's strategy is really not to cut, but threaten to cut. What I mean by that is white will play other moves and maybe force black to connect here later, because connecting or cutting is always a dominant move. So if white can force black to go back, then white will gain a little bit in efficiency. That's all there is to it with regards to this peep. On the other hand, if black can get away with not connecting, at least for a little bit, then black can make the peep stone or the group heavy. In the game, as soon as black connected, white can sacrifice this stone anytime. It's not important because white didn't spend any moves in any moves here. So it's exchange A and B. So in that, there's 0 moves investment from either side. But if it's something like this, it will be a different story because white has 3 stones now, and black gained some valuable stones on the outside. So now white cannot sacrifice these 3 stones easily. I hope we can see that. So because of that, black will have an extra target to attack. The only caveat is black has to make sure the cut is not severe. The cut at D. Okay, so white plays decently well here. White play lightly. This is a nice reduction move. And now we see the benefit of having these two stones. Whether white wants to make eyes in the center with A or even invading further, the peep exchange will come in handy. So black connected again, and this is actually similar to the earlier connection because it's a gote move and it's a dame. So white exchange a move on the outside with black's connection. So white gain a little bit in efficiency again. Something black can consider is that both groups are alive at this point. So there's really no rush to connect underneath. Especially when this exchange is sente. So it's hard for white to actually separate black even. This is all technically connected. And cutting here is no good either. Black can still connect. Which means white really made his shape heavy by playing the attachment extension. Black should seize a chance to attack. In fact, even at this point, black could consider Tenuki, or even before this stone. This is the only chance for black to take advantage of the local thickness that he has. Otherwise, if white just basically escape without any damage, then black is only left with 10, maybe 15 points on the side, which is barely bigger than the corner. So the game is definitely not decided in fights like this, but thinking from a efficiency standpoint and the opening, we have to be aware of these slow moves. So I'll say at this point, white definitely made back a small opening mistake from earlier. The caveat being white has two weak groups. But because white is strong on the left part of the board, it will be harder for black to profit from attacking these groups compared to earlier. Had black started a stronger attack here and gain some profit, maybe along this line, that will have a much bigger influence on the rest of the board. Later, when the left side is already settled, it's harder, then attacking the weak groups will yield less profit. Because even if black gains war along this line, that wouldn't do much on the left side. Oh, interesting. So white had a successful invasion here. Actually, black had a few options. Black should also consider a stronger move, maybe here. Black is pretty thick overall, so it's not realistic for white to start the ko. Bumping here prevents white from having a connection to the bottom left. And there's no connection to the top left either. So white will be in a little bit of trouble. In the game, black plays too soft again and allow white to escape. Small thing, white should just hane. There's no reason to make an extra exchange. If white wants to play this iron pillar, white should have done it from the get-go. There's no reason to exchange this first. So this could be the biggest mistake so far. Black basically passed here with wedge connection. I don't know if people readily see it. This is just a gote move. Black could have done literally anything. Just play a normal take a big point, maybe invading here or attacking this group, even extending to the bottom or attacking the top. These are all reasonable moves. But instead black play a connection. Honestly, on the review it looks a little bit silly because black doesn't have to fix the shape. And playing a pass move at move 61 is quite deadly. Okay, so black successfully took the corner and white expanded into the bottom side. So I think a lot of people are a little bit afraid or annoyed by this type of invasion, and they will try moves like this to save the side zone or attack the invading zone and then lose a corner. Small thing, black should push forward, and this black will probably get sente. I think white should have played a stronger move. This would be a little better. So assuming both sides played correctly in the corner, black has 7 points. So let's remember this, 7 in the corner. And white barely has 10 points. So basically with one move, white has nothing left after subtracting black's 7-point corner. So I want to give people a framework to think about this. Let's say white just played this move. How big is the bottom? So this is, let's see. First of all, white has sente. We should remember that. And then later it will be something like this. So 12, 14, 15 up to this line is 17. And then easily another, so 20 plus. The bottom, the corner will be 20 plus. On the other hand, black will have maybe one komi here. So white is already up at least 10 to 15 points compared to black, and has the object here is really good, and white has sente. So in terms of territory, surprisingly, it's usually best to just sacrifice the stone at C8, like these stones. These are not super important unless you're trying to attack the side, this group, or maybe somehow white can chase black in the center and really attack the black invading zone. But in this case, the center is not super valuable. Most groups are settled, so the corner's territory becomes the biggest. In that situation, which is most games, we should try to maximize the corner. So I recommend bumping here, maybe jumping. In some situations, if you really want to save this zone, instead of Kosumi, I'll recommend the cap. It's just a little more proactive. So white made the second major error, which is cutting here. And now white lost probably 10 points from these exchanges. These 4 just die for nothing. Just like the last game, I think it's important to think about the purpose of fighting. So white is tempted to attack the black group, but notice there's really nothing to be gained. I think most people agree that this group is not going to die no matter what. And through attacking, it's not like white can really expand this territory or anything else. And now we look at white's own weakness. White has a weak group a little bit somewhat here, although white is more or less connected, and now the only thing left is this group. But if white doesn't think this group is under any imminent danger, then honestly, just white should continue to play for territory, just like in the bottom left. So play another territorial move, maybe here. Or maybe even here. There's no reason to try to attack this group, because white cannot kill the group. White's territory will not expand, and it's not like black has any territory to speak of here. This sometimes looks like a lot of points, but if you really look at it, it's not even 10 points. And a random endgame like this will be worth more than 10. So there's no reason to attack this group. Oh. And that's usually where mistakes happen, when we start a fight that we shouldn't start, and then that could lead us to make misreads or make overplays. Yeah, strange fight, and then in the end, for the sake of time, go to the end, I think. Let's see. So white won by a bit at the end. I guess holding on to the earlier advantage. The last thing I'll say, because we did scroll through this, is black mounted a counterattack here, and those two stones just died. So after profiting the left, maybe black should just take a more sober look on what black needs to do. The way black played basically requires a clean kill, and white actually made a mistake. White can Atari here. There's actually no way for black to separate white. So the proper move would be to attack the right, the group on the right instead. This will be a much better target. The take-home message from this game, I would say, is a series of slow moves that black had on the right, both the connection and just playing passively to connect on the side without thinking of ways to attack white. And then on the left, black played a mysterious passing move. And then here, white made a directional mistake by trying to save the stone on the side rather than maximizing the corner. So when we play, think about the flow of the game. If you're in a phase where territory trumps everything else, then play for territory. Don't care about thickness or a center influence, because in shapes like this, it literally doesn't matter. And something to remember is whenever you have this Kitani Joseki, very often the game becomes maximizing points. This is just what happens because both groups are fairly safe and thick. So in that situation, play for points. Don't play like here. Why maximize the corner? That's good. And in this case, why should again maximize this corner? And don't try to think of fighting toward the center, because as soon as you lose a corner, there's nothing close to as valuable as that to recuperate the loss. So notice, even if white gets this entire square, that still doesn't recuperate the territory loss in the corner. And of course, white has a few weaknesses too. Okay, with that, I will move on to the last game. Okay, 7Q versus 8Q. For Joseki here, pretty normal. White got a slight advantage by being able to get this Sente exchange. Normally, this will not be Sente. So I'll recommend black to Tenuki. The Hane follow-up is big, but it's not... it's still not Sente. Of course, black can defend here, for sure. But white already sent 2 moves locally. So it's fine for black. Still, it looks like a long game. Okay, right, I think the Tenuki here is fine. So black turned, and then white got this move on the right. It's definitely more urgent to play the head of 2 stones for obvious reasons. White is a lot weaker than black on the left. Honestly, pushing here doesn't do anything anymore because white only has a 3-space extension, and this is not a very big moyo, if you even call that a moyo. And if black blocks the right side, then immediately this whole territory becomes, this whole framework becomes pretty good. This is where black will want to develop, not the left. And white will not want to develop on the upper side. Notice the corner is already pretty much lost. The corner here is pretty neutral. So white can only make territory on the side. The only area in the game, on the board, where white can potentially make something more than, honestly, 15 points is the bottom left, because it has a corner. And it might be shocking to hear me say that this is not even worth 15. But we have to remember, it's pretty likely that black will... So let's go back here. Black could get a point, the corner. So you have to subtract some of black's potential to increase territory. And then as far as the upper side, black can always play the second line slide. And notice there are a few points here as well. And the center, if white wants to make the center territory, black will gain additional moves on the outside. For example, something like this. So in reality, white doesn't have much in this area. So conceptually, once we understand that, we'll see that the only time black wants to play anywhere close to this area is if there's nothing else on the board, or if black can attack white from, let's say, playing this invasion, or playing something like this. Like somehow the whole white group might be in danger. But we're not at that point yet, and there are plenty of big moves on the board. So there's really not the time to play in the upper left. Okay, so small thing, I think because black has more zones around here, this cut could be challenging to deal with. So I'll recommend white to just extend. But directionally, white is correct. Okay, so black should have cut here. This is a good time to fight because black has the Shimari zones in the bottom right that act as great support. And locally, it's roughly an even fight. So overall, this is definitely doable for black. Okay, so black maybe tried to reduce white's territory, but if we remember, this territory is in the order of 10 to 15 points, maybe 15. So if you invade a 15-point territory, they still have close to 10. So this move is just not valuable compared to extension here. And of course, the biggest move will be in the bottom left corner. If you play here, if you play here, these are all possible and reasonable, or even this move. And coming back to the top right a little bit, pushing again is also very big. It is it helps white make territory on the fourth line, but it exploits white's liberty shortage. And black has the option of playing again on the right side, which means black can profit in the center and still get some points on the side. So overall, these exchanges will be better for black. In the game, white played this nice turn, and now all of a sudden, black's corner group is not super strong. I think I'm starting to see white eventually won big in this game, even without killing anything major. Okay, so white actually played really nice. This move, white recognized that there's nothing to be gained from invading the side, and the corner is the biggest. If you can get a corner like this is 20 plus points. That's actually bigger than anything black can gain here. We should recognize that. So in the game with black play here, there's still some... This is an overplay. But for the sake of territory, I think we really want people to understand just how much bigger the corner is compared to the side. Let's say white play here. It's very safe. We all know that this move works and it's connected. let's say it becomes something like this. Black has, in this area, literally, this is 10 points. Whereas white, from here to here, this is already 16, and then this plus this is 20. So this is 20. And the number of moves spent on the side is pretty much the same. White started out with the extra Kakari zone, Shimari zone, but in terms of the corner itself, like this line and to the left of this line is the same. Whereas if white invaded and black slid into the corner, it would be hard to find a variation where white is up 10 points locally, just like what we saw in the last game. In this game, we can see that both sides have pretty strong presence in the center, so neither side will make a lot of territory in the center. It's just not realistic. So again, we play for points, and this jump perfectly employs that strategy. So knowing that, going back here, playing moves like this actually is not good enough, because it only gets black 10 points, and that's one. Black already spent one move. Knowing that the shape here is pretty strong, black can actually play a more proactive move by jumping out. This is when you know whether to jump out toward the center or just go back. If you play fall behind, or just connect back, and your opponent doesn't have to do anything to pressure you, and your shape is already not efficient, then you're over concentrated. Actually, even if black jumps toward the center, white is in no rush to invade. But let's say white plays a move here, and black can further expand the left side by playing this bump. Now the efficiency is much higher. This is no longer 10 points, it's approaching 25 or even 30. And all because black is expanding territory up toward the center a little bit from the second line, third line, now all the way to the fourth, maybe even the fifth line. And from the endgame exchange, the 3 and 4, black also is expanding this way, even though it's a little bit subtle, not as easy to see. And by jumping, black is forcing, or I guess tempting white to invade. But if white invades, then black of course has now a target to attack, and black's strong everywhere, so this will not work well for white. And if white plays the endgame moves as shown just now, then black's much better off having a stone towards the center. In the game, this stone was here, and we can see that because black is so strong, you want a stone to basically spread them out as far as we can to maximize the territory. So directionally speaking, black should jump out toward the center. Okay, this is a slight overplay for white. Black should definitely seize this chance to start a fight. This is a little unnecessary. However, white did connect back, so now black is, I think, even further behind, because white has a mini wall here. I think connecting here will be better shape. Because black has cutting points here, I think eventually black will have to fix, and white has some weakness here. So let's just say neither side, eventually both sides will play a move to fix. So the shapes are safe for both. And white is still way ahead in territory. Now, white even has a wall. This gives black more to work with. So there's some major shape issues here. Towering from here is empty triangle. We almost never want to attack from this side. If you see a line of 3 stones being cut without any outside liberty, there are 2 moves that the first move we should think about is this Atari, and the second move is maybe this jump. The third move is this empty triangle. And the last thing we should consider is this Atari. Because when black extends, white is only at 2 liberty. In all the other options, white's liberty will be more comfortable. So in this case, I think Atari here is fine. Notice this double Atari is okay for white because that's only capturing one stone. White is still safe on both sides. And as soon as white gets a little bit of breathing room in the center, black is in trouble on the side. There's something here. Maybe the players missed this. Notice white should start with this cut. If white cut here first, it could lead to a 3 liberty versus 4. So then there's nothing here. Yeah, so white loses the fighting, the liberty race. But making the cut first changes the situation. The 2 stones are still dead technically, but it leaves a hanging shape for black. So what do I mean by that? If black just take away liberty as normal, notice there's liberty shortage. White can capture the tail. So this is something that's devastating for black. So if black doesn't want white to take the vital point at a6, let's see. So black has to play here. So if white just continue like this, already it's different. White's up a liberty, and it could turn into a seki, potentially. And in other situations, white can also start a ko. This is already a ko. So this is a very useful life and death to remember. Have your radar be on. Be very suspicious of 2 hanging cuts like this, especially when one side has liberty shortage. Whether it's 3 stones here or 4, there's usually bad object surrounding the cut. So here, black played the jump and allow white to wedge. Black should definitely extend. And now white fixed, black can get a nice turn. And actually, in fact, earlier, black should hane here. Notice black shouldn't make the Atari exchange. That would be Ajikeshi. Black should hane. White cannot cut because black has a Sente Atari, and now white can capture the white stones. For a lot of Q players, maybe this type of fighting, the shape doesn't come as naturally yet. But this comes up a lot, so this will be a good time to brush up our fundamentals. Head of 2 stones. This is not exactly the shape what we think of, but it's also a head of 2 stones. So we play here. White cannot play here. There's liberty shortage, so the only thing white can do is to play another empty triangle. And now black can come back to here. So in effect, black put more pressure on white. And now black's liberty is also way ahead, which means black can hane and maybe threaten to cut again. So all of a sudden, white's shape is very, very uncomfortable. So black can profit around here for sure. And let us not forget, there's still weakness in this area because black didn't make the Ajikeshi Atari exchange. So one possibility is to Atari out like this. The corner could be in trouble. I haven't read this out yet, but suffice to say, white owes a move locally, even if black saves this possibility. There's one option, and maybe black can play here to either cut this stone or to separate white. In the very least, let's say black plays something like this shoulder hit. Black will be able to get a seal. Or just capture the stone. So black is very thick locally. And this is all possible because black recognized the liberty shortage and the vital point here, which is the head of 2 stones. Okay, just checking chat, no questions so far. We have a couple minutes. I just want to make sure people get their questions answered.
Albert, I have a question.
Yes.
Um, at the top left corner, the end game there after black cuts at D17. Right, this one. Should white extend?
Ah, so here, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is a very good thing to note. So I think we should think of a default as wide extending, and now I'll explain why. This is the default that we should think of. And if your opponent doesn't extend and just Atari, you should think if you can capture. If black can capture, most of the time this is better for black. And why is that? It's because you leave a Sente endgame. This is Sente 7 points. So basically the number of moves from both sides the same. Let's just count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So black has 9. Let's just count this point. So 10. Whereas white has A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's 7. So 10 is 7. Black's up 3. Versus in this situation, this is black has 8. So 2 less. And then white has 9. So white is up 1. So this is like a 4-point difference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so in summary, extend. Don't let your opponent get this tiger's mouth exchange. That's very big. Great. So with that, I think I'll end the review for tonight. Best of luck. Actually, this is the end of the current season. Wow, time flies. So hope everyone's happy with how they did. And thank you for coming to the review.